Is he gonna do it? Is he gonna do it? Oh yeah, he's gonna do it. I don't like this new music. I like the old music. Well, I didn't really like the old music, but I was used to it. This is... it's loud and it's just so... I don't... What is up, everybody? Welcome to the live stream. That is my new high energy intro. What do you think? Do you like it? Some of you like it. Some of you hate it. That's okay. That's okay. I like it. It gets me super pumped before the live stream. It gets me super pumped to come in here and answer your questions. That's right, Atreides. Next, Rage Against the Machine. We couldn't do Rage Against the Machine because I'm pretty sure that would get me copyright claimed. I'm pretty sure that this interesting. You already know this if you watch Sunday stream. That guy recreates all those samples. Those were not licensed Beastie Boy samples, so we can play it. I actually reached out to his label and said, "What do I have to do to license your music?" And his label said, I don't know, sign up for his Patreon, then you're good. And I'm like, my kindred spirit. So I signed up for his Patreon, and I credit him. And that we're sticking with that. That music gets me so hyped. I looked over on the camera as I was, I cut over and I'm jamming out, and that's how we segue into the stream. And I looked over and I noticed that right next to me on the desk was my It's my allergy medicine. I can't go to the rave tonight because I've got a sniffle. I've got a sniffle. I need to take my allergy medicine. So, hey, just because you get older doesn't mean you become less awesome. It just means it hurts more to be awesome. Welcome to the live stream. You getting used to it yet, Blunty?
I didn't actually hear it this time.
Why didn't we hear? Oh, you can't hear it. Does it not go?
You don't feed it to me. I have to go open the stream to hear it. So.
Oh, I feel like I need to find a way to fix that. You have to also get super hyped. So I'm like sitting here like rocking out, and you're like just like queuing questions.
Yes.
Fair
actually,
enough.
We need people to ask questions because this is actually a Q&A stream. Believe it or not.
Believe it or not, yes. Kim Fused asked, "Is this the right stream?" Yes, Kim Fused, it's the right stream. Oh, if you had only watched the interview that I did with the Spill the Tea podcast, you would have learned some things about me. Some things that people don't know about Bardwell. Well, some people do. But things about my past. I actually really like that music. I would never go to a club and listen to it because I don't like people. But that music gets me super hyped. So that is our new theme music until I find something else to share. So here's what's going to go. Here's what's going to happen, you guys. You guys are going to ask questions. You should do a different song each week. Well, maybe Kilo Foxtrot, but that screen took a surprising amount of work to make. And I couldn't do that every week, I don't think. You guys are going to ask questions. Thank you, 365 States of Thought, who just purchased a JB Radio Master, signed up for Patreon. Thank you. Let me know if there's anything I can help with. That's what I do. You guys are going to ask questions, and Blunty. Danzilla thinks the music is good, but the animation is obnoxious. I adore that animation. It's got just the right... Well, I'm not going to argue with you. You're entitled to your opinion. You guys are going to ask questions. Blunty is going to queue up the questions for you. Blunty is already queuing up questions from the chat. Here they are. Blunty's making the queue for me, and I will be putting the questions on screen. You guys in the Discord, say hi, Discord. Say hi, Discord. Thank you. Ghost Branch, an artist, appreciates. He recognizes art. And that guy is a multi-talented artist. He's a visual artist. He's a musical artist. I have so much respect for him. That song has 60,000 views. And I think most of you out there will agree that song deserves way more than 60,000 views. That is a freaking banger. And it's nice to be in on something before it got big, because I think that guy's going to get famous. I don't know how famous. It's a weird world. But Mike Bergman says, Blunty is fine. He is digital fishing and listening to Gordon Lightfoot. Blunty, you a Gordon Lightfoot fan?
No, I'm not. Actually.
No.
I could listen to Gordon Lightfoot, but it's not like on my playlist. You know what I mean? Yeah.
The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald, right? That's Gordon Lightfoot?
Yeah. Shaw, I bet this will surprise a large amount of people. But actually what I've been listening to on repeat is the first 5 songs, and specifically the 5th song, which I haven't seen a lot to talk about, from the new Olivia Rodrigo album. Yeah. Which is basically sounds like a Weezer song. Yeah. Which is surprising. So, something to go listen to if you haven't heard the new album.
Yeah, nice. I don't get out much and like listen to new music, but then when I do discover something, I'm like, oh, why don't I listen to more music? And really appreciate it. You listen to a lot of music?
Yeah. Relatively speaking, yes. Yeah. I listen to a lot of, I don't know, a lot of stuff people would not expect, I think.
Yeah.
Hard rap,
Hard rap?
Like 2 Chainz. I really like 2 Chainz.
Nice.
That's older stuff at this point. 2 Chainz isn't really doing much lately, but...
You strike me, because, you play video games. You'll get a video game, you'll buy a new game that you want to play, and then you'll just play it for, 3 days straight and finish it. You know, you strike me as a person who like just would get an album and like just listen to it all the way through, maybe 3 or 4 times in a row and really digest it. As opposed to like somebody who just puts a playlist on and hits random and shuffle and goes.
Yes, that's pretty correct. I have like a playlist for like the week or 2 weeks, and then I'll really pound that stuff, and then I'll like move it, and then we'll switch it up, and then I'll keep rotating.
Yeah, cool. Let me see if I can unpin that. What's the keystroke to unpin a message, Blunty? Is it Shift click?
Alt.
Alt click. Okay, thank you. Cool. Yeah. Somebody, you want to know how old we are, Blunty? And then we will start answering questions. One of my wife's friends' kids was talking about making... they had made some piece of media with the phrase "take it easy" in the title. And somehow or another, they ran into a copyright issue. And they were saying, yeah, apparently the name "Take It Easy" is copyrighted by some old band called the Eagles. And I was like, you shut up, you little punk. Some band no one's heard of called the Eagles. Excuse me? Anyway, so we're old.
I think we're a little split apart because I'm young enough that, you know, I'm 33. So I'm young enough that for me, the Eagles are, I did Eagles in band, like I did marching band. So we did a show where we played "Take It Easy," and that's why I know that song.
Yeah. Well, I certainly am not old enough. The Eagles were what my parents listened to. But, and I by proxy then listened to the Eagles. But anyway, there you go. All right, guys, that's enough bullshitting. Let's take some questions. We're going to take some questions from the chat, and then we will start taking super chats shortly after that. Typically around the half-hour mark, we'll start taking super chats. If you want to get in on that, hit the $ down here at the bottom of the screen and leave a super chat. That is the way to be sure that I read your question on stream. Sometimes you have to wait a little while for me to get to it, but I will get to it. If I don't get to your question, email me. jb@joshuabardwell.com is my email. Anyone is welcome to email me. You don't have to be a patron. You don't have to, obviously, I appreciate it if you are, but you don't have to be. I answer everyone's questions, and that's how it's going to go. We're going to go for about 2 hours. We'll have a good time. The first question is going to be this one from Webb's World. What percentage of FPV pilots are still flying analog? How many do you think you've switched to digital? Webb's World, Albert Kim just did a survey on his YouTube channel. I reshared the survey because I wanted to help it get more visibility. At the last time I checked, the survey was at about 5,000 to 6,000 respondents. So that's a pretty big number. Like, that's not nothing. I don't know if it reaches a level of statistical significance, but it certainly is some meaning. And in his survey, about 45% of people flew analog as their primary. And then the remaining ones were DJI. I should look, because I may be misremembering that. I can't remember if DJI was over 50%. Digital was definitely over 50%. Let me see if I can just double check that real quick and make sure I'm getting the... Yeah, here we go. Here it is. Which video system do you primarily fly? He asked. 34% analog. There we go. 40% DJI. And then a smattering of others. So I feel like we could definitively say that less than half of FPV pilots fly analog as their primary system. Now, most people probably have at least one analog quad somewhere in their stable. I would guess if you asked, do you have at least one analog quad, the number would be like in the 80s, maybe higher. But 40% fly DJI, and only 34% fly analog primarily. So, there you go. Good question. Next up. Kim Fused. Good to see you again, Kim Fused. Has anything changed in the latest firmware update for Walksnail that makes the Pro camera worse? Thank you for a $5 super chat, Kim. Not that I know of. Not that I know of. Why? Have you had that experience? I don't know. Hey, Bubby. Good to see you. Bubby's been learning to drift. He's been posting on his Instagram, posting footage of him drifting. I think he's interested in drifting at Rampage next year. That's what he said anyway. We flew the other night and it was awful. Kim, if you suspect the firmware, and I know you know this, but just for the chat who may not know this or may not have thought of it, if you upgrade firmware and you're like, well, this camera seems worse, take the scientific mindset, roll the firmware back, see if it gets better. Like you don't have to like wonder and guess and speculate.
You still have to do that thing where you have to rename the firmware to a newer number?
Yes, which is so stupid. I have no idea why they would do that, but it's
so if you want to flash an older firmware to a newer version, you have to go and rename the firmware name so that it's a later number, and then it will flash that earlier firmware.
Yeah, they waited. If you download the firmware from the D3VL site, avatar-firmware.d3vl.com, you can click the downgrading button, and when you download it, it'll automatically rename it. But here's what I don't understand, Bubby. Bubby, sorry. Here's what I don't understand, Blenty. So this is firmware 34.40.15, but if I click downgrading, it will download it as 90.58.5. Well, okay, now does my flight controller, or does my VTX think that my firmware is 90.58.5 and won't download it?
No, it takes the correct version. It only uses the version check. For some reason, it only checks the name, but it doesn't apply the name as the version number. It uses the version number from the firmware.
So basically, you just need this. This could just be 99.99.9 forever.
Yeah.
And it would always work. Okay, so if you are trying to roll back firmware, Kim, on a Walksnail, download from avatar-firmware.d3vl.com and enable the downgrading option, and then you will be able to downgrade and roll back to an earlier version. All right. Wonderful. Let me know, Kim, if you determine that you think it's worse.
Raven says you got to turn off on 3DNR after the latest update, so that might have changed. That's something to check.
3DNR, the noise reduction?
Maybe, or night. I don't know. I'm not sure, but
where is that in the camera? In the I don't remember that option. You don't know either, do you?
Maybe with the new version.
Either.
Yeah.
Okay, so Kim, check if the 3DNR's option has changed, and if you find out where that is, you tell me. Because I haven't gone there yet. Thank you for that. Let's see here. Dennis Josephowski wants to know, does the O3 and ELRS 2.4 gig interfere somehow, and could that cause lower range? In theory, anytime you have another transmitter operating in the same band as yours, there's potential for interference and reduction in range. The O3 does not use 2.4 gigahertz unless you're using the FEV controller, I believe. Blunty, do you agree, disagree, or don't know?
Yeah, 2.4 should only happen if you're using the controller 2. Yes.
Right. So if you're just using the goggles and not the controller, then it's not using 2.4 gig, and there shouldn't be really any chance of interference. And even if they were, you still shouldn't have much interference because ExpressLRS is very good at avoiding interference. Let's see. Patrick Kelly wants to know, is there a way to add delay to a simulator? I wish, Patrick Kelly, I wish that one of the simulator developers would come up with a way that we could add some number of milliseconds of delay to play with people's perception of delay. I don't know of any simulator that does that. So the answer to your question is no, but I do think it's interesting, and I have had that same question myself. Carmody Vita wants to know, how do I learn to fly in tight spaces or indoors? I don't have analog goggles, just DJI. I'm using my Mobula 03. Should I keep trying to use angle mode, learn to hover, and after move to acro? Rates tune are necessary. Carmody V, the first thing I would say is if you're using the 03, make sure you are at 100 frames per second. If you, like my preference is 2.7K, 100 frames per second, 4.3. If you really feel like you want to record in 4K, then set it to 4K, but I think it only goes up to 4K 60. Does it do 4K 100? I don't know, because I don't do 4K. Because I like to fly in 4.3, and 2.7K is the highest the highest resolution that does 4.3. But you want to be on 100 frames per second. I recently did a house fly-through, a real estate style fly-through with a Cinewhoop, and I tried to do it at 4K 30, because I was like, 30 FPS will give me more low light sensitivity. And I literally just could not keep from bashing the walls. I had a lot of trouble, and it was the low frame rate, and I assumed the additional delay. Like, it was bad. And I set it to 2.7K 100, and I could fly. So if you're not at 100 FPS, definitely be at 100 FPS, because that'll lower your latency. Lower your rates. I think that for flying indoors, there's no shame in using angle mode. Now, the pros who are doing like real estate fly-throughs or Cinewhoop one-shots flying through a bar or something, they're pretty much all using acro mode. There's no shame in learning in angle mode. And angle mode is really forgiving when you're flying indoors, because in angle mode, when you hit the wall and the quad like moves, it autocorrects. Whereas in acro mode, it doesn't, and you basically crashed before you can even correct yourself. Brandon Beans agrees with me that 03 30 FPS is unflyable for some reason. Yeah, agree. Don't know why, but totally agree. So the other thing you can do is you can lower your rates. Lower your rates. Like I had my rates at around, I fly 533 rates on most of my cinematic rigs as well as race rigs. And this was the first time that I felt like that was too high of a rate. Like I wanted even lower rates for doing this house fly through. And the reason was not an inability to control the aircraft. I only tapped the wall one time. And it wasn't because of a lack of control. It was I was doing like an orbit around this big garage, and I swung a little wide just because I was not paying attention to where the air wall was, and I hit the air conditioner, the HVAC unit. So I was completely able to control the quad and not bounce off the walls and fly the route. But it wasn't as smooth as I would have liked. And I really, I tried to make the tiniest stick movements. And I could have benefited from even lower rates. So, yeah. There we go. That's what I would say about that. The answer to your question, how do I learn to fly in tight spaces, is, I'm sorry to say, just practice. Just practice. You have to get stick time. Practicing in the simulator is good. Find a tight environment in the simulator. It can help. We got a question here from Slam Dunk FPV, who asks, why don't paramotors need to be registered or licensed, and they do not have height limits? Some have videos flying at 17,000 feet. Why are they allowed to do this, but remote ID is pushed on us? I'm going to tell you the answer, Slam Dunk, and I want to preface this by saying that I will not be going, Plenty, keep me honest, I will not be going on a rant about remote ID, because I know we have to dole those out in doses. But there is an answer to this question. I'm going to tell you the answer. And the answer, I'm not going to argue that it's a good answer. I'm just going to tell you what the reasoning is, and you can decide for yourself. The reasoning is this. If you build an ultralight aircraft like a paramotor, you don't need any licensing at all to fly it. If you build an experimental aircraft, I think it's less than 250 kilograms, you can build just an airplane and just register it as an experimental airplane and fly it, and people think it's unfair that aircraft carrying people, and in some cases relatively heavy aircraft, like I'm not volunteering to have a 249 kilogram aircraft fall on my head. They're allowed to fly without sort of the level of scrutiny that little tiny toy drones get. And I think that the reasoning is... that's interesting. Pause that for a second. Is anybody's resolution dropping down to 144p? People are saying that it's dropping to 144p. Ghost Branch is right. I recently switched to streaming in H.265 instead of H.264.
If you're not dropping any data to YouTube, I don't think there's any problem.
Yeah, I'm clean. I don't know what
I think
what
it's a YouTube issue. I don't think there's any reason to worry about
YouTube
it.
just wants you guys to pay for YouTube Premium, so they're effing with your resolution. Okay, continue that train of thought. If you drop down to 144p, just manually change it back. Okay, so the logic behind that decision is that if you are physically flying in your aircraft, you will have a natural incentive not to do dumb, dangerous stuff. Think about it. The whole appeal of a drone is that I can do crazy shit with the drone that I wouldn't do with my own body. And if I crash the drone, oh well. Right? That's the appeal of a drone. One of the appeals. And that extends to, I can fly the drone somewhere like an airport that I shouldn't be at. And ultimately, I can just, look, I'm a flying drone, making trouble for lots of people. And then I just land and turn off my transmitter and take off my goggles and leave into the night, never to be seen. And you can't do that. If you're flying a full-scale aircraft, if you're flying an ultralight, and you are inside the aircraft, if you go somewhere where you're not supposed to be, guess what? You're there. If I land a parachute on the White House lawn, the Secret Service will be able to arrest me. If I fly around an airport in traffic, there's a chance that I will be sucked into a jet engine and die. If I fly over a bunch of people or in some other way fly recklessly, my own life is on the line. And so the reasoning is that those things are less regulated because the people doing those things have an inherent incentive not to do stupid, illegal, dumb, dangerous stuff. And if they do, they probably are only going to do it once. Either because they'll get caught and arrested, or because they'll kill themselves. I shouldn't say those words on stream. They'll die. On the other hand, drones, they're scarier in a way, because you just put the drone up and you go do stupid, dangerous, dumb shit, and then you just power down and no one can find you. And so the FAA's argument is that drones need to be more heavily regulated than like ultralight or experimental aircraft. So that's the logic. And I ain't saying it's right or it's wrong, but I will say this. It's not completely arbitrary. Like a lot of the things about remote ID, and no, we're not going on a remote ID rant. A lot of the things about remote ID like just make no freaking sense and don't really sort of follow from the principles that they're supposed to be derived from. They just shout, "Safety!" And then they just run away and expect you to be like, "Oh, safety. They said safety. What can I do?" But like that principle makes some kind of sense. Anyway. Good point. Maybe not the best day to talk about people doing dumb shit with airplanes and crashing them. Fair. Let's move on. Yeah. Have I heard anything about a V2 of the Avatar goggles? Nope. Nope. Here's how that's going to go. When there is a V2 prototype, Drew will reach out to me and say, "You want to see something cool?" He hasn't done that yet. Therefore, if there is a V2 of the Avatar goggles in the works, it's not close to release. That's what I can tell you. Steve Tricks says, please shout out Opossum FPV. Thanks for a $5 super chat, Steve Tricks. Opossum FPV is joining the U.S. Army as an officer. Well, I mean, I guess if that's what you want to do with your life. Not everybody can be enlisted, right? Not everybody can get a real job. But, you know, officers are necessary too. Congratulations, Possum. I guess it's time to do super chats. It's 8:30, Blunty. Let's get this. There aren't a ton of super chats. If you guys want to get a message read promptly, now's the time to do it. I'm going to read super chats till I run out. There's only like 3 super chats. So if you want to keep me going and get your question in, leave a super chat now. Otherwise, I'm going to read these 3 super chats and then we're going to go back to taking regular questions. What if Skyzone and Walksnail got together? It would be really cool to see Walksnail outsourcing their hardware into third-party goggles. I don't have any indication that they're actually interested in doing that or see that as beneficial. So I don't see that happening, but you know, anything could happen. Maybe. We got a question here. Thank you for a $5 super chat. Should I start freestyle with a micro like the Flywoo Firefly or with a 3 to 5 inch? With the new remote ID stuff, I'd like to know what would be best for a noob. The best thing to do would be to start in the simulator. Start in the simulator. That is not the answer anyone wants to hear. They won't want to go outside and fly the real thing. You should start in the simulator. 100%. The first time you do anything, you should do it in the simulator. Unless you're just fine with crashing and breaking your shit and don't care. And some people are. In which case, more power to you. Like, you can just get the moves down, and then when you do them in real life, they'll be much easier. Assuming you've practiced in the sim, should you get something like the Flywoo Firefly or a 3 to 5 inch? If you're really concerned about remote ID, then the best thing to do is to get a 3 or a 3.5 inch sub 250 gram. You can get a really good flying 3.5 inch with an analog video transmitter, sure, or a digital video transmitter if you want that. Don't bother with putting a high definition camera on it. You don't need to capture footage. Especially if you use a digital system, the DVR is good enough to review what you're doing and maybe share it with your friends if you're interested in doing that. So I would say if you're concerned about remote ID, get like a sub 250 gram 3 or 3.5 inch. Something like the Crux 3.5 or a Tiny Trainer are good choices. Personally, I think that most people are way more concerned about remote ID than they really need to be from a practical perspective. I certainly would not encourage people to break the rules. That would be irresponsible and would make me look reckless and bad. So I would never do that. But I would say, realistically speaking, like on the scale, on the sort of spectrum of shit you need to worry about, right? Like, this is one of the things I've learned as I've gotten older, which I know everyone loves to hear old people talk about what things they learned as they got older. The only people who really like that are other old people. They go, yes, that's very smart. I also am smart because I'm old. One of the things I've learned as I've gotten older is that I should divide the world into things that I need to care about and can have an effect on, and things that I either just aren't my responsibility and don't need to care about, and or cannot really affect and so don't need to waste energy thinking about. Right? And for many people, remote ID should be on the I've got bigger shit to worry about side. If you're a recreational pilot, the chances of you, if you're recreational and you don't post stuff on the internet and just fly for recreation, the chances of you ever seeing an FAA inquiry about whether you're using remote ID are essentially zero. I feel comfortable making that statement. Now, you decide what you want to do with that information. If you go, yeah, no, I'm going to do the right thing. That's cool. That's fine. But I hate to see people going, well, I guess I'm just going to sell all my 5-inch quads because I'm not doing this remote ID thing. And I'm like, is that like, do you really have to do that? Is there like another option? Yeah, Black Jungle, super on point. Black Jungle is in my Discord. He's a patron, and he makes memes during my live streams. Yeah, actually, I think you've been gone for recent live streams, Black Jungle. Good to see you back. Here is what Black Jungle has to say, and I 1,000% agree. People flying long range and people flying with VTXs over 1 watt, both of whom are breaking the rules. Let's put on that people who fly without a spotter. People who don't have their ham license. And all these people are like, remote ID. Oh no, I wouldn't break the rules. I'll just have to quit the hobby. I've been breaking the rules for the last 5 years. Not me. I'm doing a character. Now this and now it's too much. Thank you, MacTac, for 5 Canadian dollars. Let's just double check if MacTac had another question. There, MacTac. No, I don't think so. MacTac, thank you for your donation. Scott Besson, thank you for $5. On the ExpressLRS editor, top right corner, C is connected. What does the number mean? Is it the receiver number? Captain Bry, save me! Is Captain Bry here? Captain Bry, save me. What does the number mean? I don't know the answer.
Packet rate, right?
Is it the packet rate?
Yeah,
I don't know.
0500 is packet rate, I think, and then for instance, and then it's telling you if it's. I think the 0 is saying there's no issues.
Oh yeah. It says C and then 0500. 0 is the number of error packets or missing packets, and 500 is the packet rate. Yep, way to go. Thank you, Plenty. I just wasn't picturing what that number was, which number he was talking about. It's packet rate, so it's the number of packets per second you're sending. Blunty, you wrote in the Discord, I was walking with my spotter and there was only one set of footprints in the sand. And I said, Spotter, why did you abandon me? And the FAA said, Spotter, said, pilot in command. Wait, I'll get this together. I was walking in the sand, in the beach, and there was only one set of footprints. And the FAA said, hey, where's your spotter? And my spotter said, when there was only one footprint, that was when I carried him. We're so close. It's so close to being funny, but it isn't funny, is it? Not yet. Okay. What are your thoughts on the trend of gorilla whooping? Thanks, Alexander Seidler, for a $5 super chat. Continuing our super chat rundown. A gorilla whooping is where somebody like Zorro FPV I've seen do it. Or Bachgrinder, they go to a mall or they go to a grocery store, and they fly their tiny whoop around and just basically just don't give a heck about the people that are around there. Sometimes they even interact with them in funny and or annoying ways. It's pretty much anything you do with a tiny whoop is harmless because they're so small and innocuous. If you fly a tiny whoop into somebody's long hair, that's pretty rude. That could be bad. So they're not completely innocuous. If you were to fly a tiny whoop into a public restroom, then that's not innocuous. So they're not completely innocuous, but they're pretty innocuous. So I don't really care. I'm not mad about it. I think it's fun and funny. And it's not that. It's by far not the most annoying thing you could do to people in public. Well, it's interesting you say that. JSpin FPV says, I think the issue is there was no mechanism in place for enforcement with ham or long range. Not true. Absolutely not true. If anything, the ham rules have more enforcement than the FAA. I don't know if statistically that's true. But if you are transmitting on a frequency that ham radio operators are using, they will track you down and they will report you and you will get in trouble for it. Now, the reason FPV pilots don't encounter that is because we operate in 5.8 gigahertz. 5.8 gigahertz is an unlicensed band and it's kind of the Wild West. And so any ham operator who really cares is just not operating there. And so we're sort of self-segregated. Okay? But there absolutely is active enforcement of ham radio transmissions that don't conform to the rules. It just so happens that FPV pilots don't run afoul of that because the equipment we use isn't capable of it. As far as long range, the FAA is 1,000% capable of prosecuting BVLOS. However, they just don't do it very much, in part because I think they don't have the resources. And the same is true of remote ID. So if you feel like nobody prosecuted long range because the FAA didn't have resources, then why would you assume that they're going to prosecute remote ID any more aggressively? They also don't have, that's the same resources. Aren't you that guy from Limon's live stream? Hell yeah, thank you for a $2 super chat. Not sure is the smartest guy in the room. Hey, not sure. What should we do with all these plants that are dying? We'll have to find out what Not Sure has to say. Justin Pickering, thank you for a $10 super chat. I'm running Ghost on all my stuff for a couple years now. I was thinking about switching to ELRS. Is it worth it? So Justin, my answer to many questions like that is if you're happy, then just keep doing what you're doing. There are some people out there in the world who enjoy trying new things and learning new things and, you know, struggling with new confusing things. And there are other people out there who kind of have this weird anxiety that they have to do new things or they're like missing out. And I would encourage you, if you're one of those people, just take a deep breath and just enjoy flying what you're flying. If you're happy, that's what matters the most. If you're having a good time and you're excited to fly, that's what matters the most. It's only if you can identify a pain point that the new thing would solve, or if you're just like, yeah, cool, I'm excited to try something new, I want to give it a go, that you should think about that. So if you're happy with Ghost, Ghost is a great system. It has great range penetration. It is simpler to use than ExpressLRS by a long shot, and it has a lot going for it. ExpressLRS is going to give you access to faster packet rates and lower latency. That's nice. It's going to give you access to higher output powers. The Ghost module only goes up to, I believe it's 350 milliwatts. ExpressLRS modules go up to 1 watt. That's going to give you more range. ExpressLRS definitely comes with a learning curve. So if you think you might like to try lower latency and or get a little bit more range, then maybe ExpressLRS is for you. But what I would say is build one ExpressLRS quad and go through all the hassle and the bullshit while you're happily flying your other Ghost quads and you're not stressed about it. Don't like try and ExpressLRS is cheaper, 661 FPV points out. That's true. ExpressLRS, it's easier to find hardware. Ghost may be out of stock sometimes. Ghost has a lot more bind and flies available. Very good point. I'm sorry, ExpressLRS has a lot more bind and flies available. There's a lot going for it. Continuing reading our super chats. Thank you guys for your generosity. We have about 7 more super chats in the queue. Again, if you want me to read your message promptly, now is the time to leave a super chat. I'm going to keep running through them until I run out. Maxim FPV, thank you for a $5 super chat. Just a friendly reminder that you help countless pilots out there. Oh, well, thank you. That means a lot. Any tips for DJI-03 for live streaming via HDMI out? Nope. The only way to do that, yes, but no, you're not going to like it. The only way I think you can do that with the 03 is to use the, not the smart controller, but the Pro controller, the DJI Pro controller. It has HDMI out, and it will give you what you need. It's like $800. Sucks. But there you go. If you have some kind of screen sharing app on your phone where you can, cast your phone to a screen, then you can plug your phone into the goggles, use the DJI Fly app, and wirelessly cast the phone to a television. That might work. But as far as literal HDMI out, there isn't a way to do it except the DJI Pro controller. Excuse me. Maxim FPV says, that sucks. I already have the smart controller. Yeah, it does suck. The smart controller works with the Vista and the V2 goggles. Then they went to the goggles 2 and the O3, and they were like, nah, we're not going to do that. And for some reason, it only works with the Pro controller. Well done. Now you have to spend another $800. F you. McMucus. Great name. McMucus asks, I'm getting a trilling sound and shakes from my tiny whip when I go hard on the Y-axis. Props are good. Any tips? Do you mean the yaw axis? Props are good. I'm assuming it didn't used to do this. So if you have been PID tuning it and you have PID tuned it too much, you need to go back to an earlier, easier PID tune where this didn't happen. I'm going to guess that it was flying fine and then it started doing this, perhaps after you crashed. A broken frame would do this. Check your frame for breaks. Maybe replace the frame. A damaged motor could potentially cause this, although that wouldn't be my first guess. Bent motors could be. Where I would go with this is I would try to identify what caused it to start happening. And if it was a crash or if you were changing PIDs, that would get you in the direction of figuring out why it started, why it happened. Thank you, Drone Modelismo, for 10 Brazilian reais. Greetings from Brazil. I learn a lot with you. Thank you so much for that. Trades, thank you for a $5 super chat. Would the T-Motor F80 Pro be faster than the 160 mile per hour video motor you made with the same stack? Trades, that would depend heavily on the KV of the motor. The F80 being a larger motor would have more torque and be potentially able to run to a higher RPM, but only if it was a higher KV motor. So if you had a 1500 kV F80 and a 1700 kV F60, I think the F60 would have a higher top speed. The F80 would not be working as hard. It would have more reserve of torque at full throttle, but it wouldn't be being asked to do it. So if you were going to go to the F80s, I would be looking at a higher kV motor, if at all possible. Although I don't know where you're going to find like a 2700 kV F80. I don't see that existing, period. Hugh Bradburn, thank you for $10. Hugh enjoyed the one set of footprints thread. Grayson Cass, thank you for a $5 super chat. I crashed the Mobula 8 yesterday. My OSD shows, but the rest is gray. I switched out the camera and the same issue. Okay, so Grayson, the fact, let's break this down logically. The fact that you have video at all instead of static means your VTX is working. Yay. The fact that you have OSD means that the flight controller is sending signal to the VTX because the flight controller is what generates the OSD. Yay. The fact that you have gray screen means that the FC is not getting a camera image from the camera. You swap the camera and you still have gray screen. So now we can sort of rule the camera out as the cause of the problem, and we could guess that the issue is either the wire harness going from the camera to the flight controller, or maybe the regulator that the camera is running off of, so the camera isn't powering up. Test with a multimeter to see if the flight controller is sending power to the camera, sending voltage. And then check the wire harness to see if it's been damaged. And then the worst case scenario will be that the flight controller video input pad has been damaged, in which case your flight controller is probably scrapped, so unfortunately. Ray Real says, I put your super chat on screen, but I didn't read it. Did I?
I re-queued it already.
You re-queued it? Did I click on it by accident and then unclick it?
Yeah, you didn't click on the one you answered, I think, and you ended up clicking on the different one.
Oh, my bad. Ray Real, thank you for a $5 super chat. How loud is the Mob 803 when full speed and freestyling? I wanted to use it in my backyard and around the neighborhood with no complaints. I'd say that an 85 millimeter is not very loud. A 3-inch toothpick is going to be a little quieter, but if your neighbors are annoyed at an 85 millimeter tiny whoop, there isn't much that's going to keep them happy. I hate to say it. 507RC says, wire the camera directly to the VTX and see what happens. That is true, but I think he had an all-in-one, and I think the VTX might be like part of the flight controller, at which point he can't do that.
I would say, do you think a Mobula 803 is louder or quieter than a toothpick? Because I think like a 1S baby tooth would be way quieter than a Mobula 803, right?
Oh, 100%. 100%. Yeah. No, the Mob 8, there's a sweet spot with the props where the small props are quieter, but they're also spinning faster, so they kind of are higher pitched. And then as you get up to the 3-inch size, there's this, like a 1S 3-inch toothpick is like the quietest drone because it is simultaneously low RPM, but also a small prop. And then as you get bigger from there, you have larger props that are spinning at slower RPM, but they're larger. The largeness makes them louder. And then you get up into like the 10-inch and the 13-inch category. And what happens there is the noise profile gets more bassy and mid-rangey than trebly. And so instead of wah, you get whoosh. And some find that more like less annoying. But I think you're right, Blunty. A 1S 3-inch toothpick, 100% is like the quietest one. You think it's the quietest? You think there's something quieter than that?
No, I think that's going to be the quietest.
Yeah.
Especially reasonable, like if you want quiet and not dangerous, and like let's assume you can get bigger and somehow get a better noise profile, but you wouldn't want to do that in the places you're worried about noise. Now,
661FPV has a good point that if you've got an 85 millimeter with an 03, it's going to be heavy. So the motors have to work harder and they're going to be louder. He says, my Beta FPV Meteor 85 2-inch was the loudest quad I ever owned. I'll take your word for it. I agree that it's going to be louder than if it had like an analog VTX. Yeah, if you really care about noise, get a 3-inch 1S like the Nanohawk X is a good point from DTFPV. My Boxer has an owner ID. Is that my remote ID? Pacific Source? I have no idea what that is, but no. I'm going to go with no. It's allergy season again. Sorry, guys. It's been a good run. Somebody said JB always has trouble with allergies. Only in this, like the fall mostly. And sometimes the spring, but actually this spring wasn't too bad. I don't know what to tell you. Mike Driscoll, thank you for a $10 Canadian super chat. Thanks for all the work Blunty and yourself do for the community. What are your thoughts on the YMZFPV simulator dongle? Blunty, is that what we covered on the news last week? That
No.
dongle that binds to Express LRS? No? All right, well, I guess I have to look
that
it
was
up.
called something else.
What is this? Crossfire, S-Bus, and PPM. What is it? What does it do? I haven't figured out what it does yet.
Oh, so it's like when we looked at the other version, yeah, you just plug in a receiver to this to be able to use it over USB.
So you would get a receiver. Like you could do it with an Express LRS or a Crossfire receiver, presumably. And I see you can buy it with an Express LRS receiver. You plug the receiver into it, and then you bind the receiver. So it's similar to the thing that we reviewed or we talked about, but that thing had a built-in Express LRS receiver, whereas this works with an external receiver. So this, I mean, I assume it works as advertised. Obviously, I can't be sure about that. This is clever, but I mean, personally, I don't like the additional latency. I think simulators need all the help they can get, and I like to plug in directly. If you desperately want to have wireless connection, this seems like a good way to go about it. $24, is that for two? Is that for one? That's a lot. I mean, it's probably a fair price, but...
Well, it's with a receiver.
Oh, is that with... Oh, well, that's better. No, you're right. I'm sorry. The dongle by itself is $15. Okay, that's fair. Yeah. The fact that this is a product that you can buy certainly has a lot going for it. Cool. Thank you for telling me about that. Black Jungle, thanks for a $5 super chat. Thanks for all you do for us. Let's talk about pizza. Have you tried sweet pizzas like chocolate, banana, cinnamon, others? Thoughts on those? I mean, like if I go to Cece's Pizza with the kids, for those who don't know, Cece's is a shitty pizza buffet. And if you love Cece's, that's cool. I mean, when my kids are like, let's go to Cece's, because they like it, because they can eat as much pizza as they want without me complaining about how much money we're spending. Although these days, even Cece's isn't as cheap as it once was. But when I go to Cece's, yeah, I eat the pizza for sure. Why not? Right? Like, and I enjoy it. But let's be honest, it's shitty cheap pizza. There's a place in the world for shitty cheap pizza, and that is Cece's. And that they'll have dessert pizzas like a cinnamon or, that's fine. It's not pizza. It's a bread-based dessert. Like, I don't call that pizza. You see, pizza, like, if I take a Danish, like it's a pastry and it's got some cheese in the inside, that's not pizza, right? Pizza is not any flat bread with toppings. There's a million things that are flat bread with toppings that are not pizza. So those dessert pizzas, they're fine, they're yummy, but they're not pizza. They're a pizza-like dessert. Now, Black Jungle is posting in the Discord, and I don't know what to say. Black Jungle is from Brazil, and Brazil is known for its wild and wacky ways. Is this a joke? Like, I don't even see any sauce. Not even like a chocolate sauce. Someone has just taken a actually reasonably well-made pizza crust. This is actually a really good pizza crust. Like, I'm legitimately impressed with the quality of this pizza crust. I don't know how it tastes, but look how even it is. Do you see the crust is super even around the edge? The browning is really good. It looks crispy. But I can tell what you did is you par-baked this crust with no toppings on it. Do you see how right here how there's not a clean edge, but rather you can tell that the flat inner part has also been baked untopped and has swelled up. So they par baked this crust, and then they sprinkled chocolate sprinkles all over it. They let it cool first because the sprinkles aren't melted. They didn't top it with chocolate or anything. This is just a novelty pizza for a photograph. It's not a pizza. Okay? Okay, so this, what they need to do, if they want to approach pizza likeness, is it needs a liquid topping. And ideally, it needs to be cooked with the liquid topping on the center so that the center doesn't sort of puff up. But that's optional. It's acceptable to par bake a pizza crust and top it after baking, although it's not my preferred way of doing it. It needs to have, this is just bread with chocolate sprinkles and strawberries on top. Needs like a chocolate sauce. Ooh. Like Nutella. Oh, now we're talking. Okay, so then, this is the next thing he shows me. Now, here's what I have to say about this. First of all, excellent crust. Again, excellent crust. Excellent crust. It's got a sauce. Okay. I mean, I'm a fan of banana desserts. I like a banana dessert. Now, this one, though, this one is reminding me of cobbler. It needs ice cream. This needs ice cream. Okay? And I'm not convinced that a pizza crust-style dough, which is usually not a very, like, sweet, flavorful dough. It's usually a very basic bread dough. And then the toppings really, fill out the flavor profile. I'm not convinced that's the best. Like, this would need to have extra sugar or something in the dough to really complement the bananas. Now, Black Jungle has been paying attention because he just posted this. Whoever's making these abominations knows how to make a freaking crust. That is an excellent crust. And this one clearly was topped and baked. Again, I don't know. I mean, I almost find it hard to argue that this isn't a pizza because it clearly looks like a pizza. Like we're really, I don't know what we're doing. I'm having a little bit of a crisis. Looks really good. All right. Is this like a restaurant that you can go to in Brazil, Black Jungle? Where do these come from? All of it, though, just makes me want a real pizza. Black Jungle, thank you for another $5 or 5 Brazilian reais. On Drone Modelismo, he's a nice bearded Brazilian YouTuber. Helps a lot of us around here. Just a silly thank you to him as well. Travis Borges, thank you for 5 Canadian dollars. Thanks for the great work. You keep me very entertained on my long work days. That means a lot. Travis, I have had those long work days. Not usually when I'm at home and I'm making videos, but I've had in my life like days when I was just, doing drudgery for hours at a time and having like a live stream or a YouTube creator to listen to really, really made a difference. There's a creator I listen to, and on their live streams, people will write in and be like, hey, I work night shift as a security guard and you guys keep me sane. And I'm like, yeah, good for them. So when people say stuff like that about my content, it's really gratifying, and I thank you for telling me that. Confessor, thank you for a $10 super chat. Nano baby Walksnail that broke during your review was faulty wiring from Walksnail. Wires not tin, strands broke on 5-volt hidden under liquid tape. Whoa! So, background to this story. I flew the Nano Baby 1.6 in the review. I crashed the Walksnail one and the Walksnail VTX stopped working. I inspected it, not in a great amount of detail, but I inspected it, didn't see why it wasn't working. They sent me 2 of them, so I was just like, fine, and I skipped to the second one and got on with the video. later I sold them. I sometimes sell quads that, like, I'm not going to keep because I can't possibly keep. And I don't like to have stuff just sitting on a shelf not being used. And then, like, 2 years later, it's obsolete and nobody wants it. And I like to, if I have a quad and I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm going to fly that. And then, like, 3 months later, I still haven't flown it. Instead of going, oh, yeah, I really got to fly that. I'm just like, okay, nope, get rid of it. So I sold some of these quads on my Patreon, Discord, on my Discord. And Confessor bought it. And apparently it was broken underneath the liquid electrical tape, and that's why it stopped. So you got two for the price of one. Very nice. Well, enjoy it. How do others join your Discord to get great deals like this? There's a link in the video description to where you can join the Discord. And one of the benefits you get is sometimes I will go on the Discord and sell a bunch of shit. And I always, like, I really feel self-conscious that someone would buy something from me and then, like, maybe it would be broken or something, and then they'd be like, you fucking Bardwell sold me some broken shit, took my money. And so, like I obviously, if you, like, reach out to me and be like, hey, this shit was broken, I'll be like, oh yeah, I'll make it right. But I also, I feel really bad and don't want anybody to feel bad about the transaction. So I always sell the stuff at, like, a ridiculously low price. And, if that's what it takes to get you to join my Discord, be my guest. Why would you do this to me? Why? Why would you do this to me? Here's the part that pisses me off. That actually looks appealing. I know that it's nasty. But, like, the combination of kiwi and lemon... Is this like, if this was like a kind of a cheese, like a sweet cheese filling, this could be delicious. This could be delicious. All right. Thank you, Confessor. Eric Toff, thank you for a $20 super chat. Thank you, sir. Which is worse for a battery? Sells at 4.2 for a week or sells at 3.3 for a week? I don't know. If I had to guess, I'd say 3.3. But I don't know. That is it. We are caught up on the super chats. And we can go back to answering the regular chats. Here's a question from Sean Chandler. If I buy your $299 build, how much more will I need to spend to get started? Good question. What Sean is asking about, since you asked, what Sean is asking about is my beginner build kit. The 2023 version just released. The $299 version is the analog version. Oh no, HD ready, wait. Oh, I see. The analog version is more expensive because it comes with the VTX. Nothing wrong with combining cheese and sweet stuff, Black Jungle. Nothing wrong with that. Cheese can go with sweet stuff. So if you buy that kit, you will need... You're in for $299 for the set. You will also need... Let's just add to cart. Yeah, that's it. Add to cart. I don't need to use a calculator. You'll also need a video transmitter. Stop. So here's the suggested items of what you'll want to add. Let's guess that you... Really? Okay. Let's guess that you're going to buy a DJI O3 Air unit. You're going to need a battery. Let's guess that you save money by getting the 1250 milliamp hour battery. Let's guess you get 4 of them. You know, you're going to want at least 2 or 3. Let's guess that you are going to get a battery charger. I don't actually... Oh, God, no. Don't buy a... Beginners, don't buy a parallel board. This is a terrible idea. I suggest the... Let's come back to the battery charger. You're going to need goggles. So you'll need the DJI goggles too, or the DJI Integra. Let's get the Integra. They're a little cheaper. You get the goggles too. They're fine as well. Propellers. These are fine props. GemFan 51477. Go away, go away, go away, go away. We'll get a couple of bags of props. Color, obviously, it's going to be purple. Don't need that. For a radio... Christ almighty. What radio do I use in the tutorial? It's the Boxer. What radio is on the product page? Not the Boxer. Makes sense. Okay, let's say you get this radio, though. That's cool. This is... Why did I not use my own licensed transmitter? Because I'm a terrible shill. Let's say you get that. The Boxer's cheaper, too. No, shut up. We're getting the Boxer. Radio Master Boxer's 100 freaking bucks. We're getting the Boxer. Come on. Come on. We'll get the Boxer with Express LRS. We're going to need charger. I mean, my personal favorite is the D6 Pro. This is not the cheapest one, but it's a freaking workhorse. Let's just throw it in there. And with all that, we've got the drone kit, the video transmitter, the battery, goggles, props, controller, and a charger. The charger has an AC power supply built in, so we're good to go there. What else are we missing, guys? Oh, Express LRS receiver. A good receiver to get would be the... Do they sell Radio Master? Do they sell the RP1? That's my favorite Radio Master receiver right now. Or favorite Express LRS receiver at this exact moment. There we go. Now, there's other stuff we could get, like a toolkit, you know, soldering iron, etc. But let's assume that we're not going to include that on this order. There are a few places you could save money. You could definitely get a cheaper controller, like the Radio Master Pocket would only be 40 bucks. Maybe, is it 40 bucks? I think it's 40 bucks. There are cheaper chargers. You could get a charger down to the 60, 70 bucks. So let's say you could save as much as 150 bucks. If you went Walksnail or analog, then you'd save money. But you asked for the $299 kit, so I assume you're thinking digital. Slapomat is correct. The 15 amp limit on the D6 Pro is, if you're trying to charge large batteries, the 15 amp limit is going to do it. I like it because I'm never charging stuff bigger than, like, you know, say 5,000 milliamp hours at most. And usually it's like, so like 15 amps on a 5,000 milliamp hours 3C. That's fine. If you need big batteries, you need a different charger. The ISDT 608 AC is a good. Okay, fine. Let's get the ISDT 608 AC. This is a $65 charger. It's going to save us some money. And if we really wanted to, can we get the Pocket? Radio Master Pocket. Okay. That's $65. So we'll skip the Radio Master Boxer, even though it pains me. I really think the Boxer's better. Well, we're going to get the Radio Master Pocket. So where does that leave us? $1,331.87. Jonathan points out that the radio needs a battery. See, we're not saving that much money. Well, the Boxer needs a battery too. It doesn't come with its own battery. Fine. Like, we could add, that's 2,100, 2,600, 3,000. Yeah, we'll get the most. We'll add those to the cart. Now, I'm not going to spend another half hour of the live stream doing this for analog or doing it for Walksnail, but this is the gist of what you would need. And we're at about $1,400. If you were to do this with analog, you wouldn't save very much with the goggles unless you went for an ultra budget goggle. You would save $100 to $150 on the video transmitter and camera. And that's about it. So I think you're looking at between $1,100 and $1,400. There we go. Alrighty. Well, that was fun. Is it still a thing? Night Owl asks, is it still a thing that below a certain power you don't need a ham license? That's never been a thing. Night Owl? I'm having a reaction right now. I want you to know this reaction is not directed at you. It was just sort of triggered by you. But I don't know how this misconception got out into the world. And I have tried and tried for years to fight the misconception. And I'm losing that fight. And so that's why I'm having a reaction right now. In the United States, it has never... Are you in the United States? If you're in the EU, that's different. In the United States, it has never been a thing that you can use a video transmitter under 20, like at 25 milliwatts, and don't need a ham license. Period. The way the rule works is, if the device has a Part 15 certification, then you do not need a ham license to use it. That's why you can use your cell phone. That's why you can use your Wi-Fi router. That's why I can use this wireless mouse and I don't need a ham license. All of these devices are Parts 15 certified. What that means is that the manufacturer sent them to a lab, the lab tested them, the lab affirmed that they comply with the restrictions of Part 15. None of the video transmitters, none of the analog video transmitters that we use have Part 15 certification. Therefore, all of them require a ham license to use, period. Regardless of output power. Now, I believe that in Europe, there's a rule that if you're at 25 milliwatts or below, you don't need a license. That's different. That's not in the US, though. Let's see here. Why does Beta FPV have stupid battery connectors? I assume you're talking about the BT 2.0 connectors, and they're not stupid, they're superior. They're the best. Switch all your batteries to BT 2.0 or A30. Neo says, I was given a TBS Tango Pro controller with Crossfire. I can get the controller to bind and fly, but when the controller binds to the quad, the controller beeps. When the drone is not connected to the controller stops beeping. What am I missing? The first thing I would do is I would create a new model, if you haven't. A new blank model. My first thought is that there is something set up in the controller that makes it beep when, like, I'm guessing it has to do with you getting telemetry from the flight controller, and something about that telemetry is making the controller beep. So make a brand new, fresh model with no programming and bind it and see if it starts beeping. And if not, then set that model up from scratch and you're good to go. Black Jungle. Black Jungle's on a tear tonight. That's good. That's good. Brandon Beans wants to know, what is the best thing to put between two slices of bread? Do I have to pick one thing? Like, I can't just, like, list all the ingredients of an Italian sub? I'm pretty sure it's going to be a grilled cheese sandwich. If I have to pick one thing to put between two slices of bread, like any kind of meat that I might pick, like, you know, ham or salami, is going to need other things. Like, let's assume also, I mean, we're not heathens. Let's assume that I can put, like, mayo on the bread. It's not dry bread, okay? So, like, if it was a grilled cheese sandwich, it would the thing between the bread would be the cheese. And then obviously there'd be some butter on there or something like that. If you had to pick one thing, what you're really asking is what's the best sort of single ingredient sandwich? Like, I've had a really good, like a really nice piece of, like, leftover chicken that you're, like, you slap between, maybe slice it up, slap it between a couple pieces of bread, maybe with a little hot sauce or something. I've had that good, but I gotta say, I think it's cheese, the right cheese in a grilled cheese sandwich. That's what I say. He wants me to say ham because I was talking about ham licenses. Ghost Branch. Did you say you'd be visiting the Netherlands soon? There's one of the best pizza places there. Let's meet up. Pizza's on me. Netherlands is only an hour or two drive from here. That is true. I will talk to you about that. And if I'm going to do some kind of a meetup, I will mention it publicly. I currently might have a trip. It's pretty solid that I have a trip to the Netherlands in December. So exciting. I've been to Amsterdam before. How long is too long for the wires on a cap, on a capacitor? Steve Atrix, the longer the wire, the less effective the cap. There is no hard limit. It's completely progressive. The longer the wires, the thinner the wires, the worse the cap works. So keep them as short as you can. It's going to do something, no matter what, but it may not do enough. Goregan Tadevosian asks if I can buy either an ammo box or a bat safe for battery charging and storage. Which one would be the better choice? The bat safe is going to do better at containing and filtering smoke. Should you have something, and it's going to do a better job containing the heat. An ammo box is good enough if it's on a non-flammable surface and if you can tolerate the smoke coming out. Ammo box is also going to have a lot more room in it compared to a Bat Safe Mini, which is not that big. And it's going to be cheaper. BatSafe Mini is pretty much good for like storing / charging just like, 1 or 2 batteries. Thank you, Ken, for 1 Swiss franc. Appreciate the donation. Let's see here. What's the best digital mini whoop? Asks Know Your Joe. And Jeff Thomas asks, thoughts on the new Flywoo Fly Lens 85? Funny you should ask that. The Flywoo Fly Lens 85 is extremely exciting. First of all, can I say that Flywoo is freaking killing it lately? Flywoo has come out with several really good quadcopters all in a row. They all fly amazing, and it's really exciting that Flywoo is making quadcopters with all the different video transmitters. Want an O3? Got it. You want a Vista / Runcam Wasp, whatever you want to call it? Got it. You want Walksnail? Got it. Want HDZero? Got it. Want analog? Pleb. Got it. I'm joking. Don't get offended. It's just a joke. It's really HDZero who are the plebs. I'm joking. So the Fly Lens is Flywoo's take on a sort of stripped down Cinewhoop. Similar to the what's the frickin' who's that frickin'? Oh frick, now I'm blanking. Who makes the frickin' oh my god. Frick. Who's the frickin' guy? Not the Mobilite. It's on the tip of my tongue. I am old. Who makes the lightweight, naked, inverted whoops? Not a Pavo Pico. No, not Stan. Not Spezzy. It's his whole company. Oh, Fractal. Thank you. Fractal is who I'm thinking of. Jesus, I don't know what happened there. I'm just, Fractal Engineering is who I'm thinking of. I see that there are some differences. Are fractals pushers? Fractals are not pushers. Interesting. So there's some differences there. I actually have one of these, but I didn't have batteries until literally the batteries came in the mail today. So I didn't have batteries to fly it on. What's really exciting about this, though, is it's the introduction of Flywoo's Naked 03. A naked 03 air unit for those who have way too much money and don't give a crap if they throw $100, $220 out the window. I'm really excited to fly this. This is pretty freaking cool. And I think this seems like... 78 grams. It seems like it's potentially going to fill a gap where you've got a high performance, but still with prop guards. Why does it have an action camera on top of the 03? Because you can. Shut up. Nasty FPV. Someone told me that they had done testing and found that these little whip antennas, such as you see here, actually give better range than the 03 stock antenna. I have not tested that yet. How bad is it to nakedize an 03? I know that... who was it who destroyed his? Oh man, I'm blanking on all kinds of names today. There was a YouTuber who was nakedizing one and popped off a ribbon cable that there was some glue on and destroyed the cable. So it's not trivial. I'm Only Human 2 asks, what's up with the new HDZero VTX? There's a lot of rumors running. I don't know. What rumors have you guys heard? What rumors have you heard about a new HDZero VTX? I haven't heard any rumors. Or if I have heard them, I'm not allowed to talk about them.
I mean, they went up earlier today.
Oh, where is it?
Hold on a minute. I'll grab a picture of it.
Is it, like, on their website?
No, they took it back down.
Oh, shut up. Post it in the Discord.
Okay.
New 20x20 Freestyle V3. Ooh. Jukes FPV says, any suggestions on an 8S build? Yes, I built one. Jukes FPV. Search my channel for 8S. Oh, is this all we have, Blunty? Is this like the entire
Click
limit
the
of
other
it?
link.
Thank you. Oh, yeah. What the hell? Hobby RC going to get in trouble. That's exciting. Finally. Please, please, please tell me it goes to at least 1 watt. Hey, 1 watt! 1 watt. So we finally have a 1 watt HDZero VTX that is in a form factor that any frame is actually made to support. Oh, well done, HDZero, although apparently it's not released yet. Like, I remember the original 2-board HDZero VTX had a lot of problems with reliability. So hopefully they've got that sorted out. I love the form factor, though. That's for damn sure. Capable of maximum 1 watt RF output power. It's unlockable. They sell it limited to 200 milliwatts, but it's unlockable for regulatory reasons. You unlock it. The same is true for the Freestyle. That's pretty cool. I didn't know that leaked. It looks similar to an 03 in that there is interior, like, 1.6 millimeter mounting screws. And then exterior, maybe that's 20 millimeter. I don't know. Just guessing. Kilo Zebra says it looks like it's only 1 watt on race 1. Lower power on other channels, presumably. Kilo Zebra, this is a case where HDZero, most video transmitters do this. They have more output power on lower frequencies for reasons. And they just aren't like, they don't disclose it. They just say, yeah, 500 milliwatts. And then when you test them, they only get like 350 milliwatts on channel race 8. And they're like, yeah, no, it's 500 milliwatts. So HDZero is being honest about something that everyone is affected by, but most people just don't tell you. So don't punish them for being honest. When HDZero says 1 watt on channel race 1, that's the same as every other VTX. They're not the exception there. Garter Rotor is skeptical of the dual board thing. Yep, the very first one had problems with the connector between the boards. Ken, thank you for 2 Swiss francs. What's a better 5-inch sub 250 frame with 03 than 250? There isn't a better sub 250 5-inch frame than the 250. I don't think there is another sub 250 5-inch frame. If there is, it's extremely rare. The chat will now tell me about it, and I'll be like, oh, I didn't know about that. But the Oh My God 250 is like the sub 250 5-inch frame. Nobody else really wants to fly sub 250 5-inch. It's a pretty niche thing. Can anyone tell me another sub 250 5-inch frame? Rotor Riot Outlaw. Good. Do they still make the Outlaw? That's true, though. Thank you. The Outlaw is a sub 250 5-inch. But look, where's the frame? I don't think they make this frame anymore. Look, they don't make it anymore. The Tooth Fairy 2. No. Not the movie. Tooth Fairy 3. Ciati says the Tooth Fairy 3 might make it sub 250. And is incredible. Is the Tooth Fairy 3? No, the Tooth Fairy 3 isn't out yet. Okay. All right. What is the best cheap 30x30 flight controller that runs Betaflight? Oops, wrong window. It's got to be the SpeedyBee F405, right? The SpeedyBee F405, the only real big weakness that it has, in my opinion, is that when you put an SD card into the SD card slot, the OSD stops working. That's so stupid. I don't know if that's a hardware thing or if they should fix it. But, so basically, you don't have black box. Or if you have black box, then you don't have an OSD. So, that sucks. But still, the price is so freaking good. You want to know what else? Want to know what else there is? Stevetrix, that Velox F411, I thought about recommending this a while back, and I got a lot of feedback that there were quality control issues with it. Now, I obviously can't verify that. Like, for example, does Race Day Quad sell it? I know that Tyler doesn't sell stuff if he gets too many returns. I don't know about... I mean, I can't say anything about Pyrodrone. Serge doesn't really talk to me very much. Does Race Day Quad sell it? So they sell it. Only 5 in stock, though. I don't know. I got feedback that people had, like, gyro issues with this. But Stevetrix says he uses it and hasn't had a problem, except for the perforated 30mm tabs breaking off. So maybe that's a good one. At a price of $37, it's certainly going to be appealing to a lot of people. What's that new cheap flight control software? Is it the AT? Yeah, the ATF4. So iFlight has a new flight controller, the ATF4. It's got the AT chip in it instead of the STM chip in it. It's this new cheaper chip that is supported by Betaflight. $60 for the ESC and the flight controller. Hello. It's going to give you, you're going to need new drivers and you're going to have trouble flashing it. And you're going to need a new version of Betaflight called AT Betaflight. However, yeah, Lenty, go ahead.
You can also just use 4.5.
Oh, Betaflight 4.5 has full support? But yep. Betaflight 4.5 isn't released yet.
Yeah, you have to use the nightly or whatever. But yes, I know a lot of people have been running it for a long time for their AT boards.
Yeah, okay. Okay. So that's pretty damn compelling. $60. Wow, it's almost like it's 2019 again. When that was just normal.
Do they have that board split out at all just to see cost?
Interesting. It doesn't appear that they do. Just the stack. Yeah, just the stack apparently. This is nice because there was another Nano RC, I think. I can't remember the name of the company. Do you remember the Neutron RC? That's it. Neutron RC was making a flight controller with the ATF 435. And I was like, I don't know about this Neutron RC company. Who are they? But when iFlight releases it, well, I mean, they're a known quantity. So, it's interesting. Best cheap flight controller 30 by 30. There's your answer. Oh, Tux FPV. Crossfire or Express LRS? I feel like we've done this. Blunty, is there a live stream clip about Crossfire versus Express LRS? Do you remember?
I think there's like 4.
Yeah, we're not going to do this again. Thank you for the question. I personally fly Express LRS because of reasons that I have gone into previously. Let's take this as an opportunity to plug the Joshua Bardwell Livestream Clips channel. How about that? Did you guys know Joshua Bardwell Livestream Clips? Mighty brave typing in the search box on a live stream. You never know what autocomplete's going to show. Oh, well. Hashtag me too. So let's search for, CRSF. No. Oh, here we go. Is Express LRS or Crossfire better? Crossfire versus Express LRS. Which would Bardwell buy if he started over? What are the advantages of Express LRS over Crossfire? Oh my God, it's too many. Okay, so what I'm going to suggest you do is head on over to the Joshua Bardwell Livestream Clips channel. Just search it on YouTube, just like I did. And then click the question mark and search for CRSF and find these multiple rants and enjoy them. What, 15.6 thousand subscribers. That's exciting. Too bad like 5,000 of those subscribers are bots. Is that still true, Blunty?
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't see the decay, but we certainly haven't had a 3,000 to 5,000 subscriber fall off. So,
well, have we had a 3,000 to 5,000 subscriber increase in like views and revenue?
No.
I knew the answer was no, but on some level, like I was still disappointed when you said it. So head on over there and let's get some real subscribers to the Joshua Bardwell Livestream Clips channel. It's great for, excuse me, it's great for finding segments that you missed on the live streams. And also for searching for rants and other topics you know you remember me talking about. And helps Blunty pay the rent, too. You know, if you care about that. Subscribe to that channel so Henry can eat. How's Henry doing? Still Henry?
He's good.
Yeah?
Yeah, he's still Henry.
Yeah. Is he settled into Alabama, or is it all the same to him? He just hangs out in your bed. It's like, whatever.
Yeah, I think he's to that point now. He was freaking out a little bit just because, for people who don't know, he's a rescue dog, but he was like 5.5 years old when I got him. So he's kind of ingrained with a lot of his issues. So, yeah. But yeah, he's been getting used to the other people in the house for sure.
Does he like go outside with you and stuff? Like if you go fishing or you go down to the pond, does he run around outside, or is he like, no, that's not for me?
I mean, for like 10 minutes and then he's done.
Yeah. He's like, okay, we're going back in. Yeah, my son is the same way. We went out. He was like, hey, I need some extra money. So I was like, okay, well, I'm working on the fence today. And I'm like, okay, look, here's the deal. I mean, I didn't say this to him, but I was like, I'm not going to like make you like do hard manual labor. Like just carry the tools, carry the nails. I'm going to give you a bucket and it's going to have the stuff in it. And I'm going to walk around and I'm going to like hammer on the fence and you're going to hand me things. And we're just going to like have a nice little father-son time. And at about 20 minutes, he was like, oh boy, it's really hot out here. And at about 25 minutes, he was like, how long have we been doing this? And at about a half hour, which was how much time he needed to get the amount of money he needed, he was like, listen, I'm really uncomfortable. I'm going in. So he made it longer than Henry. But
That's
he
true.
he was just like, nah, I've had it. I'm out. It was pretty hot, but I was like, I'm going to just give myself heat stroke working.
When I was a
Because
kid,
I'm a man.
I never got
sorry,
the option to go inside.
Yeah. Well, I'm just not that kind of dad. I mean, when he says, listen, Josh, I'm just really uncomfortable. I'm just really hot. I'm going in. Are we done? I'm going in. Like, on some level, like, I feel like I should be like, no, you are weak. You must be man and stay out in heat and work. But then, like, I'm also kind of glad that I'm the kind of dad who raised a kid who will just go, hey, you know what? I'm done. I'm going in. And, like, actually have a boundary and, like, speak for himself and stand up for himself. So I want him to have boundaries with other people, but not me. But I don't think it works. I don't think it works like that.
Yeah, I think, definitely don't think it works like that.
No. Where is It's Blunty's Patreon, says Black Jungle. How can I support It's Blunty? Well, since you asked. If you do want to support It's Blunty, he also has a Patreon. For the record, I don't make Blunty do this for free. I don't want to, go into too many details, but in case, I don't want it to sound like I'm shilling for Blunty because I'm too much of a jerk to pay him to help me with my live streams, for the record. But if you do want to give him support, his Patreon is itsblunty.com is his website. So you can go to his Patreon. And a lot of people do. Maybe not so much for your live stream work, but for the actual work you do helping people on the Discord and stuff, which you do a lot of.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. That's not really a boundary, says Danzilla the Terrible. Ooh, that's an interesting. That's more like giving up. Right, Danzilla the Terrible. You are the kind of real man that I was talking about. Yeah, no, I get that. I submit that expressing that kind of thing, to saying to another person, hey, I'm going to do this right now. I got to take care of myself. I'm going to do this right now, is a boundary, and is an expression of, is a way of standing up for yourself. Giving up. I mean, he wanted a certain amount of money. He did enough work until he reached that amount of money. And then he told his boss, okay, I'm done. I'm off the clock. I'm clocking out. I'm going home today. That's not giving up. He accomplished his goal. And then he was like, I'm done. Cool. I'm out. There is a part of me that's like, yeah, but what about when you have a real job and you can't just say, oh, well, I don't want to work right now, so I'm quitting. What are you going to do then? And I'm like, hey, there's plenty of time for him to grow into that. I don't have to. We don't. And also, I also would just stop working whenever I feel like it and go outside and do something else. So I don't really have a leg to stand on there. Oh, it's not about being a real man. It's about getting a task done and being rewarded for your work. You can't do that at a real job. I mean, he told me how much money he wanted to make, and I told him how long he had to work to do it. And then he worked that long. Like, at the end of the day, he did what he said he was going to do. So I'm not too mad about it. I mean, there is a part of me that's like, no, why don't you just want to stay out and work on fence with me? But,
Because this is why we build houses, to get out of this heat.
Right.
It's logic.
I mean, he's just not that into yard work. I'm into yard work. Anyway, someday, I hope that he says to a boss who's treating him like shit, I'm going home now. And his boss is like, what are you talking about? You can't stay. You gotta make widgets. He's like, nah, I'm going home. I'll see you tomorrow, or, maybe I won't. I think that would be amazing. We're coming up on the end of the stream. That's why we're kind of tailing off here into me just blah, 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 blah. But, that's fun too. Terminal insanity. I assure you, there will always be more yard work for him to do. I assure you. I do agree. I kind of wish he had a little bit more sort of like, he's like, okay, I need this money to buy this game. What do I have to do to get $12 right now? And I'm like, but he also like saved his allowance for the last 2 months to buy a particularly elaborate Halloween costume. And I would give him his allowance. He'd be like, put it in savings. Put it in savings. And I'd be like, okay. So, like, that was interesting. That's forward thinking. Yeah. People can figure these things out. There's plenty of time for that. We got a $5 super chat from Glendon Blunt. My Radio Master expressionless receiver has 2 antennas. Do I need to use both? And if so, is there a proper orientation? Thanks for all you do. You don't need to use both, but you paid for them, so you may as well use them. There's several different ways to orient those antennas. One of them is to put the antennas at 90 degrees to each other. Okay? Now, you can do that like so, like at the back of the quad. Some people will put like a horizontal one at the back and a vertical one like up at the front off a side standoff, like Vanover does that. The other thing you can do is you can put them like 90 degrees to each other like this, like a V. Like, for example, underneath the arms or mounted like that. So, there's various ways to go about it. The other way to do it is to put one in the back and one in the front if your cables are long enough, so that when you turn around to come home, you still get good coverage. Aber the Ham would like me to call out this guide for beginners from Meps King. It's AI generated. He says it's AI generated. What topics do you most want to explore? How to choose FPV drone ESC. Is elaborately designed for the harsh environment of professional FPV racing and racers' extreme demand for the sense of control. Oh, so this 2207 is racing, 2306 is freestyle? Bullshit. Bullshit. 6000 series aluminum. Not that impressive. But okay, not the end of the world. Colors, they do have nice colors. Ooh, an actual thrust chart. Well, okay. Sure, why not? NMB bearing. You know, for all their shitty marketing, their motors seem to be pretty decent. Where's the AI generated stuff? So this account is MEP's account. Is that right? I don't know about that. I'm not sure if it's a MEPS account. I don't see a lot of MEPS content if it's a MEPS account. It just seems like a dude posting content. Here's more MEPS account. Well, maybe they're a sponsored pilot. Oh well. It's not the worst I've ever seen MEPS do. Is Ciati streaming tonight? Siada, you there? You streaming tonight? Any cracks or hacks for the V1 DJI goggles to keep them going? Yeah, you should root them and use WTFOS for sure. Tuning and upgrading the newbie drone Hummingbird F4 V3. That's what Siadi's doing tonight. And he's going to be streaming after me. So he's going to start putting the link in the Discord, or in the live stream chat. And when I finish up in about 5 minutes, you can go watch him if you're interested in it. Uh-huh. A lot of people talking about Mepscake now. Oh, Gen X FPV wants to know if the FPV structure in my yard that got blown over has been put back upright yet. It has not. It has been permanently damaged by being knocked over in the wind. I would love to build another one. It's not going to be cheap to do it, though. Kim Fused is headed to the hot tub. Must be nice. Kickflip wants to know whether the difference in speed of today's drones would make the results of the guns versus drones video any different. No, it doesn't matter how fast the quad is well, maybe if it was going like 100 plus miles an hour, zoom, straight across. But I think that it doesn't matter as much how fast the quad is going, because the quad is relatively far from the pilot. And so it's easy for the pilot to sort of track it and lead it and try to get a hit on it. I think what makes a quad hard to hit is not raw speed, but changing direction rapidly and unpredictably. Was there a question from Sep? Sep said, oh, I came back from the bathroom. Did he answer my question? And I'm sure that I didn't. Did my question get answered yet?
It's number 6 up in the queue there.
Thank you. We'll get Sep's question before. Sep, hopefully you're still here. What are some of the difficulties associated with SPI-based Express LRS, and is it worth adding an EP2 serial antenna to get around those issues? The main difficulty with an SPI-based receiver is that you can't flash it to a new version of Express LRS the way that you flash other receivers. With an SPI-based receiver, the version of Express LRS that's on it is linked to the version of Betaflight that's on it, because the SPI code is built into Betaflight. So if you have Betaflight 4.3, then that typically, although it doesn't have to be this way, but that was released with Express LRS 2.x, and Betaflight 4.4 was released with Express LRS 3.x. The problem with this is that Betaflight updates a lot less frequently than Express LRS does. So the SPI code base is always some months or maybe more behind what the serial receivers are running. And when you get a version shift from like 2.x to 3.x or 3.x to 4.x, suddenly, if you have an SPI receiver, you simply can't bind to a module running the new firmware. This is all just a giant pain in the ass. There are other limitations. SPI receivers can't run the highest packet rates, but that's not like the end of the world. Just the firmware management, though, is just a giant pain in the ass. And there are also some performance issues where, like, if the processor gets overloaded, then the link may fail safe. All in all, I think SPI-based Express LRS receivers were just a mistake, and most manufacturers are realizing this and moving away from them. If you had a quad with an SPI-based receiver and you had it working, then okay. But if I wouldn't like, I would try to avoid them, and I might, like, if I couldn't get it to bind because it had the wrong firmware version on it, I might just go screw it and get a serial-based one. That's the answer to that question. Hosep, hopefully we got you straightened out. And that is going to bring us to the end of the stream. Siadi, have a great stream. Blunty, thank you so much for helping out this week. And I'll see you tomorrow for the news.
Yep. I'll see you tomorrow for the news.
All right, guys. Wait, we caught up on Super Chats? We are. Okay, guys. I will see you tomorrow for the news and next week for the live streams. Good night, everybody.